Hi, I'm Chris Lotz.
Hi, I'm Pat Lotz.
With the Pat Lotz Real Estate Group. Thank you for tuning in to episode 7 of Beyond the Keys, a Pat Lotz podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for all new content. Today we are talking about home inspection deal breakers that can kill a home purchase. And there's a few to consider, but these are going to be some things that kind of we're looking for or might be factors in what is a deal killer. We'll talk about these, but it's significant problems with the house itself. So from a listing or an agent standpoint, what are some of these significant problems with the house itself that you are looking in on? You like to call them elephants.
Oh, elephants. Yes, my elephants. Well, when you do a home inspection, you're looking for a costly repair that you didn't anticipate when you initially viewed the home visually. So it's sort of a hidden repair that maybe even the sellers aren't aware of. And again, if they're not aware of it and you bring to their attention, sometimes we can get through these deal killers, but these are things that, can kill a deal.
Yeah, and maybe we should have not rephrased that because it's an article, but deal speed bumps. You can always work through these things. Sometimes do they kill deals more than not? Yes, but it's working through these issues or these elephants to be able to get the deal done. At the end of the day, the sellers are going to have to deal with this elephant with us or with somebody else.
Right.
So it's just finding that win-win, finding that what will get us to the closing table and what does that look like. First one for those significant problems is foundation issues. You might have cracks in the foundation, stair-stepping cracks, water intrusion, cracks that need epoxy. The home is falling apart. You can, if the home's falling apart, you can't necessarily immediately mitigate that problem, and you can't do that necessarily immediately, and it does cost a lot of money.
Well, the biggest thing too is that when you, visually when you go into a house, you should see signs of that, or your real estate agent. I mean, I'm not a home inspector, I'm not a foundation person, but based on experience, I can tell when something's going on. But say there's a crawl and nobody's gotten in the crawl in many years, and you go down there and there's standing water, mold maybe on the floor joists, or there's some of the concrete is starting to crumble away. Those are issues, and that could be a serious deal bump.
Yeah. Get yourself a good inspector that has great experiences in a lot of different homes. And then two, you always can rely on a structural engineer or a foundation professional for further clarification. I'll give you an example though too. We recently got under a contract on like a 1910 house, stone foundation with red brick. At the top, joists were into the stone foundation, which was very expensive back in 1910. And if you did that on your home, it was the best of the best. But that also comes with time. After 100+ years of being a home, there's going to be some type of imperfections or less than ideal situations. So are you willing to address those? And do you have the pockets to be able to do so? So I did talk about it already, but water intrusion problems in poured foundations and block foundations, those can be addressed with epoxy injections. We like to utilize family dry basements of Michigan. They're out of Fowlerville, family-owned company. Great resource. Arc foundations, dry mesh. A lot of great companies address that, and it's not always a lot of money.
Get educated on it, because a lot of people, have to get the fear factor, and an inspector might instill that fear, but it's getting educated on it and gathering all the information before you can make a decision and exit out of the contract. So don't lose a house over it if you don't have all the facts.
Don't, to your point, and we do talk about kind of inspectors or real estate agents being alarmists, saying we want a whole new foundation, we want all these windows, we need a whole new roof. You're gonna have alarmists, but take a step back, make it less emotional, get the information, find the solution, rely on a professional, a specialist, not a generalist, and somebody who is actually a structural engineer. Said all day long, I'm not a roofer, we should call a roofer. Next one is actually extensive insect damage. This is termites, but in our part of the country, up here in the Midwest and Michigan specifically, we can see carpenter ant damage.
Yeah.
So, but again, is it a deal killer? Not necessarily. Consult a pest control expert, see what the remedy is, make sure your house is sealed properly. Shouldn't have these issues.
And the general inspector sometimes can see the activity from pest, carpenter ants. We don't have termites here, but we've seen them. So it's just a matter of that general inspector saying, hey, there's something a little bit odd here. Let's get a professional in.
Yeah, we won't go further into detail on this. It's because roof problems can be a lot of different things. So roof problems can be deal killers. Sometimes roof problems can be very inexpensive solutions, such as flashing or repairing a few shingles or readjusting gutters or whatever it may be. Not every single roof problem is a deal killer. Just even back to the foundations, if it's a structural thing, then definitely consult a structural engineer, a contractor you trust, to see if it is a massive issue. If it's the roof's caving in, that's a run type situation. Not every single time a roof problem, though, is an absolute deal killer.
Well, and the thing is that on disclosures you'll see, well, how old is the roof? Well, the roof is 20 years old. Well, that is not the end of a life for some roofs when you get your 25, 30-year shingle. So it is, an inspection is necessary.
Yeah. Electrical problems. The basics, maybe a double tap. You can get a different breaker to accommodate to 2 wires coming into the main. So double taps might be an issue, a GFCI might be an issue, small things. But a major electrical issue might look like knob and tube.
Yeah.
That's going to cost $20,000 to $40,000 to be able to replace that. If you love the home, if you love the history, if you love the time period, it might come with some electrical updating and plumbing updating.
Yep, and then too, when you're doing your walkthrough and viewing the home at the first time, those are the things that you take a look at and take that into consideration when you're putting your offer forward.
Yeah, knowledge is power. Know what you're getting yourself into before you're making offers. And that's, if it's an exposed basement, you can see if it's old plumbing and old electrical pretty dang fast.
Yep.
I just said it, plumbing problems. If you're seeing galvanized steel in there or cast iron that's starting to wart or rust, it might lead to issues. But knowledge is power. Take that into consideration when you are submitting those offers. Know what you're getting yourself into. Not always major things, but for older homes beyond 1970, you're probably going to be replacing some plumbing. So
well, and then too, remember, if you're in the city, a city scope is pretty good idea because roots grow in and disrupt that exit. So that's another important thing to do during inspections to make sure, because typically the owner of the home takes care of from the inside of the house to like the city sewer, the street. So they're responsible for that repair. So it could be costly.
Yep. Back to plumbing, galvanized steel. It does corrode over time. You might get a pinhole, and so water pressure does go down. With copper, with PEX, you're not going to have that issue, and that's where you see a lot of those replacements is low pressure, but can mean replacing that galvanized steel, hopefully not as costly. And two, if galvanized steel coming into your house, the cost could be a lot. So take that into consideration. Shallow wells and poor water quality. Shallow wells still happen historically. I believe yours is a shallow well in your house, and it's in the confinements of your home. On a conventional or cash mortgage, not going to be an issue, but do your education. A USDA loan, you need to have that well on the exterior of your house. And it's not necessarily a good or bad thing. If you've got great pressure, and you're not a USDA mortgage, shouldn't be an issue. But educate yourself. Educate yourself.
Well, we bought our house 7 years ago. We got that little old well, which we anticipated that we might have to dig a new well. And guess what? 7 years later, we're in good shape still.
Good deal. And then even too, this says water quality. So testing to make sure that your water is good. I don't necessarily think that's a deal killer, but you will have to work through arsenic, nitrates, nitrites, or coliform bacteria with dirty water. Some people in certain places of the country do have high sulfur water, so rotten eggs, but water softeners, $1,500 to $2,500 might solve that problem.
It's fixable, and it, you know, if it isn't going to be one thing, it's another. Every house has its own DNA, I say, and so nothing's perfect. You're just going to have to decide what you're willing to work with.
Yeah. You said it about sewers. Scope that sewer line, always important, especially when it's clay or concrete tiles, to make sure that there's no valleys. Bellies are one thing, but no valleys in contact. Consult your plumber. I'm not a plumber, but you know, bellies are one thing, valleys are another. That's something is fighting gravity to get back up. Impossible. Root growth, and then grease buildup. Scope your sewer. No different if you're on septic inspection. Check the tank, check the quality of the tank, run some water, see the levels. If they change, that's a problem. For better or worse, you want it to stay consistent. Dig holes in the field, see what that stone looks like. Is it sludgy or is it dry and clean?
And that's why you hire an inspector that specializes in that area to give you the thumbs up that it's a good working system. And again, there's a life expectancy on these septic systems, but again, it depends on how they were taken care of. And knowing how a system works and talking to the professionals gives you the insight and education on making a good decision to move forward at a house.
And mine costs $15,000. So again, educate yourself. If you have a less than perfect, and that's the problem with septics, is it's not pass fail. There's a lot of gray, and everything operates in that 2 to 9. So where does it fall, and can we remedy the solution by water consumption or less water consumption and allow it to rejuvenate ourselves? Or is it a failed field? Mine cost $15,000. It was failed. We replaced it. It's going to be good for the next 100 years if it's taken care of properly. So
I don't know about 100 years, but yeah.
I was told 100 years. Home inspection and environmental fines that can be home buying deal killers. These are like an insurance provider won't like it. Buried oil tanks, which they did from like the 30s to the 90s for fuel oil furnaces and things like that. They don't like to see buried oil tanks. So know your surroundings of the home.
Yeah, and I haven't seen them in 21 years. Very few. I mean, to be honest with you, I might have seen 5 of them in 21 years. So that's not a lot. And they can be an easy removal, or it can be a very large environmental issue. So again,
I think that's more what it's focusing on is the environmental, because sometimes they're in the basement. And they're sometimes not in use. How many did you see in 25 years?
Maybe 5.
I've seen 2 in the past month. Isn't that
Lucky duck.
In the basement, though, one was in use, one was not in use. So the one in use, they chose not to buy it purely because they didn't want to deal with that energy source. The other one, it was more of a how are we going to get this thing out? And you can work that into the deal. So the next thing is presence of mold. I'm not scared of mold. I think mold can cost somewhere between, on average, $1,500 to $4,000. So not a major cost, and something you can always address with those sellers. But educate yourself. Call a mold professional.
Yeah, I mean, it really shouldn't be a deal breaker. I mean, don't let mold steal your deal. Again, get educated. It's fixable. And 9 times out of 10 sellers aren't aware of it, so they're going to go, oops, how can we help you through this? There's
mold in homes. Period. There's mold in homes. There's 100 different types of molds. 2 can kill you. And I don't think that have you ever seen a mold that can kill you?
No.
Educate yourself. Get the details. Get a professional in there. But at the end of the day, mold should never be a deal killer. Sometimes people drive buyers to kill the deal because of mold. But again, there's many different types of molds.
Can be tested,
2 can kill you.
Be checked out.
Yep.
We have professional contractors that do that for a living that can remediate that and get you a nice mold-free attic.
Environmental specialists would say that don't worry about this. Obviously, if it is consumed, that's when problems can occur. But lead-based paint, any home that is built before 1978 can have lead-based paint. A lot of the people that I've spoken to, and I have spoken to a lot of people about this, it's been so covered up by now, or in inside of walls, you're never going to see that. Obviously, if it is exposed paint or exposed plumbing, maybe you should test it. But a lot of the environmental specialists that focus in on mold, lead, asbestos, they would say, just do your best to know what it is and don't disturb it. Sleep and be sly.
Yep, and then what they would say is that if you think it's lead-based paint, or even because of the year, just prepare yourself if you're going to be doing any repairs on that wall or cutting out, is that, protect yourself with the necessary precautions when you're taking out that wall or doing any work.
Or professionally have it removed. And with that being said, asbestos in the home, I think that you need to be a professional to remove that stuff in the eyes of the EPA and the government and Michigan and the federal government. You cannot remove that unless you are a licensed professional that understand what you need to do. A lot of times though, like floor tiles that may or may not be asbestos, ceiling tiles that may or may not be asbestos, those should be removed. Those are in living spaces. A lot of asbestos sometimes are in non-living spaces. So those professionals would say, don't mess with it because it's going to be a lot more money to remove it. And if that is a deal killer for you, on to the next.
So be
no
it.
big deal. And then some people even say, encapsulate it further. Don't do anything. Encapsulate it further. Wrap that thing up and make sure that it is contained. And if you are doing renovations, if you do need it removed, consult a professional.
Yeah, and again, that's something that you have to be completely comfortable with.
I don't agree with this. And I think they're more saying, be cautious with this. Always get it tested. Always get it tested. High levels of radon gas. But in our experience, some of the professionals in our field that mitigate radon, SWAT, and Protec, everywhere from $600 to $900 to remediate radon, seal up your sub pump, PVC pipes to the exterior of their home, fan exhausting to the top of your home, and when they retest, you should have 0 levels of radon. One thing I would like to point out is the EPA says anything over 4.0 needs to be mitigated. Anything under 4.0, 3.9 and below, you should probably mitigate if it's 2.0 to 4.0. Anything below 2.0 is not a major concern with the EPA. So.
Yeah, but again, don't let radon. Everything is workable, but get everything in order and costs involved in it. You go back to the seller and say, hey, I didn't anticipate this mold, this radon, this galvanized steel, this plumbing issue. Try to work with them because they're going to have to address it with you or another buyer, especially if it's a health and safety issue.
Yep. Other home buying deal killers. Inexperienced home inspectors. Mark Kane has been doing our home inspections he's probably been doing it for 30 years now, but for us for 25 years. How long have you known Mark Kane?
A lot of years. And so, we provide a couple of options to our buyers, but we have worked with these inspectors for many years. So we are confident that they can inspect the home properly and look for any of those elephants, major issues to help you make your decision.
He's seen a lot of homes. He's seen everything from 1,800 homes, 2020 homes, and everything in between. He's seen a lot of good, a lot of bad, and a lot of ugly. Good, qualified, experienced home inspectors. And make sure that experience is there. And honestly, a lot of the resources that we hand out, they've inspected that home before in our communities because it is so small and tight-knit. That's amazing that we get an inspector to inspect it with us again, but they inspected it 5 or 10 years ago. That's crazy.
Yeah.
And then even too, with that being said, alarmist home inspectors, we see a lot of home inspectors on our listings, but then I even see alarmist home inspectors for our buyers. Their job is to produce facts, not speculation, keep people calm, and forward them to professionals that specialize in radon, in mold, in pest, in structural, in roofing. That's their job. And I always try to, and I don't know, we're not roofers, we're not plumbers, we're not anything, but stay calm. Let's get the facts. let's find our options. Let's make a decision. Where sometimes people want to leave that home inspection sight unseen because they're so scared. But stay calm. Trust your professionals. Trust your home inspectors. Hire the right real estate agent because that's where you're kind of getting your home inspectors from. Anything you want to add on that?
No.
Home buyers with unrealistic expectations. You're buying a used product.
Yep. And again, unrealistic perfection. There's no perfection, and you're going to deal with some imperfections on a home. I always say just pick your poison. You're going to have, one house you're going to have radon. The other house you're going to have arsenic. The other house you're going to have some mold in it. There's going to be something that you may need to, if you don't have an issue, good.
Good for you. Shoot.
Good for you, but there is, and there's expectations going in. A used home is going to have something. If it is, you just hire the right professional contractor to educate you and give your costs involved, because it all boils down to, what your family can afford.
Even brand new construction are going to have imperfections. So it's having realistic expectations. HGTV is. I love HGTV. My wife does as well. Well, it kind of makes it an uphill battle. That's why you might not. But it is entertaining. It is awesome. But even new construction has imperfections. You should be close to as perfect as possible for new construction. But there are going to be some things that you may or may not need to address. It can't always be perfect. So keep those realistic too. And I try to bring buyers back down is, well, we can't expect them to pay for a whole new roof. We can't expect them to buy us brand new windows. They're not the most efficient, but there's no water coming in. There's no sealed. It's not leaking. But we do need a budget for those things.
And we knew originally when we came in that they were the original windows. So
this just says misinformed buyers, sellers, and real estate agents. Rely on your real estate professionals to educate you on current market standards, current good practices, formulating offers, giving you professional resources, giving you professional recommendations. Misinformed buyers and sellers and real estate agents, because again, it goes hand in hand with expectations. That's not what the market is sometimes, of what you're expecting or what you think is going to happen. Lowball offers, seeing the house multiple times, things like that.
Well, and remember, it's a team approach. It's you've got your agent working with you, you've got your lender working with her, you've got your home inspector working with her, you've got your professional contractors if need be. So it's a whole team to get you through the process and educate you and work you through it.
Yeah. Next is inexperienced real estate agents. Goes to the being said, experience is not everything. 2 years, 22 years, it's understanding or relying on the leadership so you have that experience. I've been doing it for 20 years, but I feel like I've been doing it for 20 years. And again, I think you say it quite a bit, is it's the agent's job to keep everybody calm, and you dictate the reaction from your buyers or sellers. Stay cool. Don't run in with your hair on fire. Let's talk to a professional. Let's talk to a professional. Home buyers with analysis paralysis. You know what that means?
No.
They overanalyze things, which we have. You have a lot of people that overanalyze things. Well, the roof is 20 year old. I want to get paid back for this, and there's the outlets need to be replaced. Analysis paralysis. Overthinking and overcomplicating the process. You're not gonna buy a house.
Well, the thing is you're not, because that if you go in like that, first it's going to be noticeable in your offer. And again, remember, we want to keep those nice, lean, clean offers without all this busy request to the sellers. And you can't overanalyze. In today's market, sellers drive the bus.
Yeah.
So either you want to jump on board or you don't.
Well, with that being said too, is a lot of our trusted inspectors say this, is an inspection report is a tool to help you better take care of your home and better update your home. It's not necessarily something to go back at the sellers with.
Yes.
It is a way for you to better take care of your home and focus on the priorities of where you should be starting to maintain them, whether it's painting the exterior or replacing windows, or so on and so forth. This says seller's response to home inspection. If we ask for health and safety, we need radon, and you should be addressing health and safety because it's the right thing to do. a human-to-human standpoint. Dirty water should be addressed. Failed septic should be addressed. Radon should be addressed. Mold should be addressed. They don't always do that. So if we say, hey, there's mold in the attic and there's radon, we'd like to address these things. They can say no, but I truly believe it's easier to deal with the offer that you have right now, because you should be dealing with us or with somebody else. Sellers don't always do that. So,
yeah, I mean, the thing is that sellers, usually have got a backup offer in their back pocket, but they're going to have to disclose the fact that, we have arsenic in our water. So, it all depends. And again, if we find these issues, we find out the financing. So say it's $2,000 for mold, $1,000 for arsenic, $1,000 for radon. So that's $4,000 out of your pocket if the seller won't agree to assist you with that. Is that acceptable to you? Mm-hmm. Your choice. If it is, we're out of the contract.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So at the end of the day, hire the right real estate agent. Stay cool, calm, collected. Stay positive and patient. Everything is not a deal killer, but things might be worth the conversation. And you're hoping on both sides they're willing to have that conversation together. And make sure you have the right inspector that's got great experience, great local knowledge, maybe or may not have been in homes before, mm-hmm. And their experience on these things. They're generalists to provide facts. Then with those facts, do we need to get professional specialists in there? Plumber, electricians, roofers, HVACs, mold, pest, so on and so forth. Mm-hmm. Hire the right professional, trust the right professionals, and you should be good. So, yeah?
Yes.
So I'm Chris Lotz.
I'm Pat Lotz.
With the Pat Lotz Real Estate Group. Again, thanks for tuning in to episode 7 of Beyond the Keys, a Pat Lotz podcast. Live local, buy local, use local, and as always, there's lots to love in Livingston County.
Thanks for watching. Make sure to use those like, comment, and share buttons below. And don't forget to follow us on Facebook and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel at Pat Lotz Real Estate for more helpful home buying and selling tips. Want a free comparable market analysis? Scan that QR code on your screen or visit our website at www.patlotz.com and fill out the request form. There's lots to love in Livingston County.